Welcome to the Teach Better Talk podcast, your official podcast for the Teach Better Podcast Network, the hub for all things education, brought to you by teachbetter.com. The Teach Better Talk podcast is committed to answering your burning questions through a variety of lenses and bringing new offers to you and your colleagues to help you thrive throughout the school year. My name is Ray Hewart, and we love your questions here on the pod. If you have any questions that you'd love us to consider as topics for future episodes, please share them with us by emailing info@teachbetter.com. We are focusing on trust yet again, this time looking at how storytelling and community agreements can add to the already beautiful conversations we've had and will continue to have throughout this episode on body language and voice and tone, all contributing to this work of building trust, not only with our students, with our colleagues, with our parents, everything in between. I love this topic being a part of our first week of the Teach Better Talk podcast launch for our brand new season. So excited. As a reminder, if you've not subscribed, rated, and reviewed, we so appreciate you guys taking the time doing that and also sharing it with your friends and family. We love being able to connect with more educators and provide this type of support. As we get into this conversation with one of my favorite people I have had the opportunity to interview before, I do want to give a quick shout out to Chad. Chad Orchowski is the co-founder and CEO of the Teach Better team. He is somebody that is constantly addicted to storytelling. This man uses storytelling beautifully to build relationships with the people around him. So he made for a perfect shout out for this episode. As we get started, you will see a very familiar face if you're watching over on YouTube, but if you're listening to the pod, then it will be a very familiar voice. How are you doing today? Thank you for coming on the show.
I'm very well. Thank you, Ray. And thank you for having me yet not once again. It's always a huge pleasure coming together with you, with anyone from Teach Better team, and also with the audience, amazing educators of the world.
Truly, every time we have you on the show, people are just gushing about wanting more content from you. So I was so appreciative that you were able to take the time, and you had to be a part of our first week because that's how we're going to keep our listeners, is being able to bring on amazing people like you all season long to talk about a number of things. Now, I know our community is very familiar with you and your work already, but I assume we also have some new family members, a part of the Teach Better family as we're entering into a new school year and celebrating building community with a ton of just free resources, tools, and discussions. Do you mind sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, all that jazz?
Of course. Thank you. So I'm a transformation coach, certified transformation coach, and certified positive intelligence coach. I am also a meditation teacher with the Insight Timer app, number 3 in the world, wellness and meditation app that is free. So I invite anyone and everyone who wants to meditate there. I love working with human beings and raising their awareness around the power and potential that they have innately, that they were born with, and bring that out in them, raise their self-confidence, and help them see life from a different perspective. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
You know, something that you shared with me early on in our relationship, we actually met in Las Vegas while we were both receiving different awards and, you know, appreciating the global platform that allowed us to connect with so many different educators and leaders in the business field on. But when I was able to interview you following that, something that really stuck out was your big dream and vision that every school around the world would start their day or intentionally incorporate a few minutes of meditation into every single classroom. Tell us a little bit about why that's so important to you.
It is so important, Ray, and I thank you for bringing this up this time around again, because meditation, when it's done regularly, it literally changes the brain chemistry. It brings us from a more survive mode to thrive mode because the positivity grows, the gratitude grows, the fear of anything and everything goes down. So, overall, meditation is so important and so helpful. And when practiced every day, especially by children, it literally changed their trajectory toward their future. So it is just a few minutes every day, but it changed lives,
Hmm.
literally.
I know we've
It
spoke.
did change mine.
Yes, and it has changed so many educators and students that are a part of our community because they've really enjoyed celebrating, sharing those stories. For many of you that have heard us have this conversation before, we just won't spend too much time on it. But if you're a newbie, the meditation timer app is an amazing app, completely free. I use it personally. I have not paid a single dime. There is absolutely no need to do that. When you log on, I have found there are two things I really would love to highlight. One is if you're not too familiar with meditation, if maybe you haven't bought into that concept, very much my story prior to meeting and being able to have these conversations. I love that there are ways to get started that are as short as like 30 seconds or a minute or 3 minutes. It's a very comfortable space personally that I love to enjoy. The other thing I cannot celebrate enough is the robust number of tools for classrooms that are able to use different types of meditational tools for students. It's already done for you, it's already recorded, you already have access to it. And there is zero prep. They've been vetted for you. These are easy things that you could truly pull up in the next 13 seconds and use in your classroom. So definitely something worthwhile. Anything you want to add to that narrative?
No, actually, you said it perfectly, Ray. Just have a Bluetooth speaker in your class and just open it up on your phone and start the meditation, your daily meditation with your kids, with your students.
Yeah, something I really enjoyed doing in my classroom when I previously was a middle school math and writing teacher was I would set up on the smartboard some some lengthy video that was just like a fireplace on repeat or some sort of very calming environment. It would set the tone for our day, and we would sit down. It was a quiet environment. You were listening to sounds, and in some regard that really allowed students to kind of mentally and internally reset prior to learning, depending on what we were diving into. I would love to encourage our community here, whether it be once a week or every day. I know the morning would be great. I also recommend the class that comes in right after lunch and they're all excited. Throw on a 1 minute, a 3 minute opportunity for this. You'll get so much more out of your students during your 35 minutes of class than you would if you didn't do this and you're trying to wrangle them in the whole time. So tough.
And Ray, that reminded me of something. I just submitted a meditation for kids that to start their day with a small affirmation that is everything is always working out for me. And also the question to the universe, what gifts do you have for me today? So I really love to tell about this to all my clients and everyone I come across because every morning that's what I do. When I wake up, I hold my arms up and say, Universe, what gifts do you have for me today? And when you say that, when you use the word gift and when you physically do this, you are immediately raising your vibration and energy. So you are setting yourself up for gifts to come to you throughout the day. And I wanted to teach children that. And I thought maybe I should include these two statements in a meditation and have children meditate with that every day so that it becomes a part of their daily habit, asking universe, what are the gifts today for me? And knowing that everything is always working out for you.
Yes. There's so many different moments in time when I lean on a skill or strategy that will reset my body, whether it be at the beginning of the day or after a stressful week. And I think it's such a beautiful reminder to put this tool in your toolbox. If you're listening to this as an educator, this as you start your day, or if you're listening in the afternoon and you're thinking, it's not for me right now, so be it. Put it in your toolbox. It might be for you next week when you have a very stressful week, or the following week when parent-teacher conferences start to come up, or welcome events when you start to meet families and you're spending from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at school and you're going. It's so important that we, again, put these tools in our toolkit, maybe not for today's use, but maybe for a few weeks from now or a few months from now, who knows, depending on how the year continues. So I really appreciate being able to highlight this. And I know that we will continue to have great conversations. One of the conversations I know we're focusing on today is the concept of building trust. We've been talking about this all week, and there's been a lot of different strategies shared, but without telling us everything that we're going to get into in our next segment, give us a little insight. How did you approach looking at sharing with our community strategies to continuously work to build trust with others in our lives?
So I know many of the listeners already know how important the tone of voice or body language or facial expressions in creating trust, how you say things rather than what you're saying. Uh, and I know that many other guests maybe even mentioned that and will mention that. So I wanted to come up with from a different perspective and come up with different tools for our educators. And I want to talk a little bit about transformative storytelling, about reflective listening, about creating collaborative class agreements, and a few more other things. So that's what I'm planning to share today.
Beautiful. Make sure to stick with us. We'll be right back.
Quick pause to give a shout out to the Teach Better blog. Head over to teachbetter.com/blog to read articles from guest bloggers all over the world sharing their ideas, whether it be classroom strategies, leadership ideas, fundraiser tools and tricks, or anything in between to reach all of your learners. Head over to teachbetter.com/blog to get reading.
It is never too late to begin working on building trust. Whether you have already started the school year and you are weeks in, or you haven't quite started yet and you are entering into that space within the next few weeks, this is the time when a number of new people will be a part of your life. And it's never too early to start this process, and it's never too late to continue to reflect on it. Whether we are talking about building trust with students, leadership teams, colleagues, parents, or anything else, we always strive as educators to work on building that community. I am so excited to get started with this. I know you have a lot prepared for us. Let's dive in. What is the first element that you wanted to share with our community here today?
So before getting that, I want to say, obviously, one of the most crucial elements in education is building trust between educators and students, because trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. And in a classroom setting, especially, it's vital for creating an environment where students feel safe, supported, and motivated to learn. And for everything I share with anyone, I always tell them, ask why. Whenever you receive any kind of information, always ask why. Why trust is important? Because trust in the classroom creates a positive learning environment where students feel valued and respected. and it encourages open communication. It enhances collaboration. It helps students develop a sense of security. And when students trust their teachers, they are more likely to engage actively in learning and show resilience in the face of challenges. But how? How do we do that? Building trust starts with leadership. And as educators, you are leaders in your classroom, and your actions set the tone for the relationships you develop with your students. So, to highlight some important core values from day one makes a huge difference. One of them, the most important ones, is consistency and reliability. Students need to know they can rely on you. Being consistent in your behavior, showing up on time, following through on promises, that builds a sense of reliability. Also, another thing that is I see very important is transparency and honesty. Be open. Don't be afraid of being honest with your students. Share your expectations clearly and admit your mistakes. Communicate transparently. This honesty fosters mutual respect. It's okay to make mistakes. We are all human beings and we will be making mistakes. It's also okay to apologize. This brings vulnerability to the table and tells your students that you are only human. And it fosters an environment where your students don't mind demonstrating vulnerability in return, right? Also, empathy and understanding. As a coach and a spiritual person, empathy, like I recognize the importance of empathy, compassion. Show genuine empathy towards your students, understand their struggles, listen to their concerns, and offer support. When students feel understood, they are more likely to trust you. And start doing that from day one. Day one, because you set the tone with how you start things. And then we come to what? Okay, then what I do. What do I do? Of course, your voice tone, body language, facial expressions play a significant role in building trust. But there are some other strategies to create a positive rapport with your students from the beginning. One of them, as I mentioned, and you mentioned too, Ray, is transformative storytelling. When you add some personal stories, some memories, uh, some anecdotes that highlight what you are trying to convey, and that highlight resilience, for example, empathy, perseverance, personal stories make teachers more relatable and human. And that helps students to connect on a deeper level and see their educators as real people who also are going through some tough times sometimes. See, so sharing personal stories makes it so much more easier to connect with students, and they feel encouraged to share more openly and honestly and be vulnerable.
I wonder if this is not a natural practice for an educator that's listening. I wonder if we can challenge you to find specific moments, whether it be a part of your lesson planning or maybe simply how you start the day. Maybe it becomes a natural habit of introducing, when you introduce new concepts, you fold in those moments of stories. I know for so many of us, some of these suggestions are going to be very natural. Oh, I love doing that thing. That comes very natural. I do that all the time. I will continue to do that. This is almost re-emphasizing a good thing that you have a practice of. But for those of us who might struggle with some of these suggestions, it's okay to put it into some sort of system or routine that you already have in place so that it can become an organic nature. I know so many of us, especially those early teachers in their career, if you are currently a little in the weeds with a very long to-do list and a very structured mini lesson and trying to follow everything that your college preparation gave you to be successful, adding in a little line of storytelling as you walk into your lesson might be all you need to begin to foster those relationships right off the bat.
Absolutely. You summarized it perfectly, Ray. And there's another thing that is very helpful. It's I call it reflective listening. It's actively practicing this listening style is so helpful, and it involves repeating back what the student has said in your own words to ensure understanding and validation. You might not agree with what the student is saying, but by repeating it back to them, you are telling that I might maybe not be not agreeing with you, but I understand you and I hear you. I validate where you're coming from. This technique shows students that you truly hear and value their perspectives, and that fosters a sense of safety and respect, mutual respect.
This is something I very much need to work on. But the person who I believe in my life does this the best is Brad Hughes. For many of you that are listening, if Brad Hughes is not someone you've had a lot of exposure to, there are countless episodes on Teach Better Talk podcast where Brad is featured essentially every Sunday weekly warm up. Go check out those. Go back in time and listen to Brad on the daily drop in. The way he has, I was going to say trained himself. That's probably not giving him enough credit, but the way he has taught himself to speak continuously does this practice. And it is so beautiful as the person having the conversation with him. It's such a calming and understanding environment that he sets. I think that's why he's such a beautiful interviewer, is because the people that he has in his presence feel so heard and valued, that if we are able to do that with our students, that's one of the many things that we can do right off the bat in any conversation to allow people to feel valued.
And I'm a big fan of Brad's too. You're so right. He implements this technique as a part of his being, and also a fellow Canadian. So
Yes, he is.
I'm a big fan of his.
Yes.
But the third thing that I want to share, which is even more important, and the listeners of this show, this episode, can reach out to me to ask for me to send them an audio about this very topic that I'm going to talk about. It's creating agreements, collaborative agreements. Living with agreements rather than expectations is so important in all areas of life. And but today, because our topic is in the classroom, how we can build trust, uh, I think creating collaborative class agreements can be a huge tool, huge way of building trust. At the start of the term,
Do you mind if I
sorry.
pause you really quick?
Sure.
You said something beautiful I want you to reemphasize.
Okay.
It's about classroom agreements rather than expectations. I know that you're going to share more about this. I really would love our educators to take that in and reflect on that. That is such a beginning of the school year moment that we have the power to control. So I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on this. That is a very interesting difference that I have not ever heard. That's awesome.
Yes, this is a very important topic for every kind of human interaction, because we all want to be clear on what we want to create together as a collaborative, or personally as a small family unit. So in every part of life, we want to create agreements rather than thinking, maybe I am expected to do this, I am expected to act like this, or expecting others to do or be uh, people, or that they don't even know what is expected from them. So at the start of the term, I invite educators to involve students in creating class norms and agreements. Like, just take some time to talk about it, and then write it down and put it up where everyone can see and read whenever they need. This collaborative approach ensures everyone's voice is heard and respected. Students feel a sense of ownership and responsibility for the classroom environment, enhancing mutual respect and trust. If you are interested in, as I said, an amazing audio on expectation versus agreement, please send me a message and I will share it with you.
Oh, that would be so incredibly valuable. I hope that you all choose to take on that opportunity there. I know myself, I will be. One element I do want to highlight here is, you know, this concept I think is common for educators. I will tell you, I always struggled with it because it felt like something that I was checking a box to do. Okay, we need to create norms. We're going to do that on Thursday. It's going to take, 8 minutes. Then I have to move on to the next activity. What I've really valued is taking this opportunity and allowing it to be almost like a week dedication when something happens, to say, "Oh, William, I loved that you shared so honestly about this moment of our lesson. Maybe that should be a classroom norm that we all choose to truly share what's on our mind at all times." And
Yeah.
you can kind of add to this list and then make it final maybe after a week of reflection with students. Sometimes, depending on the type of educator you are, breaking it up might be helpful as well.
And Ray, when an educator, when it's a teacher comes to the class and says, "Okay, guys, we're gonna be doing things this way. You're gonna do this, that," it's telling. But when you say, "Okay, I'm coming with these suggestions, and I want your input," whenever you include students in, even though even though you are at the end of the day as the teacher who decides what will be included or not, this approach of being inclusive and giving them a voice to share what they think makes a huge impact in uh, creating what the teacher wants to create, and brings so much more power to the teacher in getting buy-in from the students.
Such a beautiful start to our show, being able to have these conversations. And I really appreciate that we were able to dive into suggestions that were beyond just what we need to physically do with our body or use with our tone of voice, but actually activities and suggestions that you can go take on, friends, right now to continue to foster trust, and things, right or wrong, you could come back to in 5 months and re-emphasize. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Nothing has to be set on stone. Like, you can create an agreement, and then every few months you can just revise it, review it. Is it still working for us? Do we need to modify anything?
Hmm. So many beautiful takeaways. Friends, stick with us. We're going to continue this conversation with some continuous takeaways. And then also, I want to make sure we share contact information, websites, and everything in between so you can continue this learning as well and add it to your toolkit. We'll be right back. wrapping up this conversation, which we have been able to emphasize so many different elements of building trust, everything from storytelling to listening techniques and everything in between. I'm excited to have some major takeaways be a focus because we have been able to share so much in this episode. We're going to have to re-listen numerous times. What comes to mind if our community here can only take away maybe an idea or two? What are some key things we want to focus on?
Well, the key things are, as the teachers, please be approachable. Make yourself available to students. Show them that you are really listening to them and you have all the good intentions to understand them, even if you don't agree always. Get to know your students personally. Remember their family backgrounds, maybe the things that they are sharing with you. This gives them a message that you care for them. Just try to create a personal connection with each and every one of your students, which I know for a fact that most of you do already. But this is just a mere reminder of that, because the new school year is coming, and every new school year is a new blank canvas to draw a beautiful picture.
I love that. And the reminders that we need are focused on these ideas because we become very focused on our to-do list and everything else. And these are the human components of our work. Do you mind sharing how our community can stay connected to you and how they can get that recording? I know many of them are going to want to enjoy.
So they can connect with me through my website. Obviously, it's ipekwilliamsoncoaching.com. And my email address is ipekwilliamsoncoaching.com. And I'm also approachable and reachable on all social media platforms. So when you search my name on Google, you will find me. And I'm looking forward to receiving messages from Teach Better community. And I will be happy to share that audio that I mentioned.
Beautiful. Friends, Ipek is spelled I-P-E-K. If you have any issues, regardless of what you're trying to do to get connected, please reach out to either myself or a member of the Teach Better team. We are huge fans and very close to Ipek and the work that she has continued to do. We love connecting Teach Better family members to her work and truly believe in the work that she's doing on a continuous basis. So we would love to help you better connect. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing so much insight. This was better than ever, and I so appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Ray, for the opportunity. I so love this community, and I'm always here for you.